Here were two young men who had found each other and shared this basic understanding of how fucked up life was.
Ray and Jay went through everything together. They were just brothers.
It's the most bizarre court case to hit the American justice system. Heavy metal rock stars accused of using their music to convince a pair of kids to kill themselves.
The two youths had apparently listened to 6 hours of music by Judas Priest.
Heavy metal was under attack.
There were people saying, burn it.
This case was a crusade for me. Good versus evil.
They thought every metalhead was a devil worshiper.
James and Ray were super fans, and that put them in extreme danger.
I feel sorry for them because I listen to it and I hope it doesn't happen to me.
If the music caused them to kill themselves, well, why didn't we?
The utter preposterousness. If you could make a case based upon these kinds of flimsy allegations, there might be an avalanche.
It's not just Judas Priest here, it's books, filmmaking, everything in the art world is at stake here, and we're here to defend it.
Better than you, better than me.
This could change history, you know, freedom of speech, man.
We gotta fight for our right, man, to listen to our music, to party, man.
We know that what we do is right, and we've come here to defend it and heavy metal.
This ticket is probably my third time seeing Judas Priest. When I first saw Judas Priest, it was the Screaming for Vengeance tour. It was multi-levels. Amps everywhere. They were a bit mysterious. I was attracted to that, a bit to the dark side as well.
My kids were very fond of heavy metal music. That's how I became acquainted with them, but they were an extremely well-known band. Everybody pretty much knew who Judas Priest was.
My parents felt that something was going to happen to me.
I want you to know that Satan is using the media, things like rock music, Dungeons and Dragons, to influence young people into Satanism.
Guys like Rob Halford of Judas Priest say that not only do they sing about it and wear all the chains, that's actually the way that they experiment and live off stage.
Heavy metal appealed to rebellion and supernatural stuff. It was kind of fun, you know, the entertainers of the time played it up. It was popular with the kids.
Heavy metal rules. All that punk shit sucks.
Fucking Judas Priest!
A lot of people felt the youth were being led astray by this satanic culture, heavy metal.
Rock music has been blamed for just about everything from teenage pregnancy to anti-American thinking. Now a mother in Reno has filed suit against a heavy metal band blaming the group for her son's suicide.
Anita came to my office, and I knew it was her son who was in the news. She said to me that the detectives that had investigated the scene told her that the music that James and Ray had been listening to was being accused of causing teen suicide. Have you seen the album cover? It's a kid killing himself. The bullet, the ray, goes in his eye, and there's a little explosion out of the back of his head. I knew I was going to pursue the case. I filed for Ray Belknap's family, and there was a separate case for James Vance.
I wasn't looking for a landmark lawsuit. I got a call out of the clear blue. My secretary said there's a Phyllis Vance on the line. She wants to know if you're a Christian attorney. I said, I'm not an attorney who happens to be a Christian. I'm a Christian who happens to be an attorney. Phyllis said, well, you're the only one we want to handle our case. I said, why? You suing the devil? She said, well, we think so. She said, we want to sue a heavy metal satanic rock group that influenced my son and his best friend to shoot themselves. I thought it was a double suicide. She said, you don't read the newspapers, do you? She said it was a suicide and an attempted suicide. Her son, James, was a survivor. I wasn't prepared to be as shocked as I was seeing him. The recoil from the shotgun pulled it away, but the blast blew the lower part of his face away. James had literally come back from the grave to tell us what happened. It was James's 20th birthday. Ray gave him his Christmas gift, Stained Glass by Judas Priest. He said, wow, the only one I don't have. For several hours, they listened to that album. They looked at each other and said, let's do it. They ran to the backyard playground of the Church of Christ. Ray grabbed the shotgun and said, see you on the other side. James couldn't stop. He picked up the gun. It was a compulsion. I said, level with me. Why'd you shoot yourself? He leaned forward in the chair, and he wasn't there anymore. He was like in a trance. Take this life with all its sin. It's not fit for living in. Beat the world. He quoted lyrics as if he were quoting Bible verses. And then it's like he came back. He said, I feel that the heavy metal music of Judas Priest mesmerized us into thinking that the answer to life's problems is death. And so we proceeded.
The band members were very sympathetic to what happened here. They felt sorry for these boys. Their attitude was exactly what I would expect from people who are actually not responsible and totally innocent of the charges.
We just thought it was inconceivable that somebody could be taking a musician to court for making music.
The facts are undeniable. Belknap committed suicide and Vance blew his face off. But what caused that? Wasn't a record.
Motion to dismiss was probably started the day after, if not the day that the complaint was filed. These type of cases have been tried, and they've been summarily picked off on First Amendment free speech.
Ozzy Osbourne had a song called Suicide Solution. That's pretty direct.
The song says, quote, I tell you to end your life. I wish I could end mine, end quote.
In Los Angeles today, a lawsuit claiming music by singer Ozzy Osbourne drove a teenager to suicide was thrown out of court. Superior Court Judge John Cole said music is protected by the free speech rights of the First Amendment.
Lyrics are protected under free speech.
The judge was going to throw us out on First Amendment if we didn't have something.
I talked to co-counsel Ken McKenna. I said, do you think we should have this album analyzed? He said, I already did it.
Our audio expert, Bill Nickloff, was specifically a subliminal audio expert. He was able to play what he found on the particular song, Better by You, Better Than Me. He just played Better by You, Better Than Me. He had taken the song and broken it into pieces, and then in some cases he slowed it down, and just really going in second by second. You have to kind of tune in. You're not supposed to hear it in the normal consciousness. At the end of a phrase, it would be like, better by you, better than me. Right at the end, there would be a, do it. It's a little stretched. Do it. Do it. And then there's one that's crisp, and it says, do it.
Ken calls me. He was really excited. He said, the Stained Class album is jam-packed with subliminal messages.
We had a meeting that afternoon with the judge, and I told him, we have found subliminal messages on the album. This is not protected by the First Amendment. This is a whole new ballgame.
Putting the words do it, what does that mean anyway? Do it, what? We denied, of course, that there were any subliminal messages, and if there were, they didn't put them there.
The other side never saw it coming. They didn't like it.
How can a case get this far based upon facts that didn't exist in the real world?
Judge Whitehead said, well, I was ready to dismiss this case, but now this changes the complexion.
The judge ruled subliminals are not protected by the First Amendment. We were going to trial.
It's the most bizarre court case to hit the American justice system.
Media just inundated us.
The music is charged with containing hidden messages.
We were introducing the world to subliminals.
I feel sorry for him because I listen to it and I hope it doesn't happen to me.
I got a phone call from Ken McKenna asking if I would be willing to be a consultant on the case. That kind of effect, that something in music that's generally published that would have the effect of causing somebody to commit suicide, you know, the burden of proof would, you'd really have a difficult time showing a direct link of those two things.
The utter preposterousness. If you could make a case based upon these kinds of flimsy allegations, there might be an avalanche.
The repercussions through the whole art world of people that write books, people that make movies, you know, it's just
this interview at some point in time would have to be vetted and scanned to
somebody would say there could be a subliminal message in this interview that we're doing now.
Is there?
I started seeing this shows, and there was Rob Halford on there and Glenn.
The last thing we would do is put subliminal messages on for hype or any other reason.
And I was like, what's going on here? But it was on every chat show. Holy shit, man, Jesus. And I know for a fact that I didn't do any of that. I know I didn't. And I mixed the album. I sat down with Judas Priest, and they said, you know, Dennis, if we lose this, it will change history. The freedom of speech will change. Can you imagine? Heavy metal bands being charged all around the country. Yeah, let's find this other album, this other rock band, you know, let's put them on and see if we can hear anything. I didn't go to work for 5 years because it said, don't go to work, you know. I mean, that's how crazy it is. And yet I can guarantee there's thousands of attorneys who go, ooh, wait a minute, I might listen to some stuff.
What about currently some young, aggressive lawyer looked at soft drink companies or food companies and said, if you're using subliminals in your advertising and people are overeating and becoming obese and having diabetes, is that your fault? Or alcoholism? Are you over drinking because you're being compelled to by subliminals? Are you smoking cigarettes in this modern time when we know how dangerous they are because there's subliminals in the advertising?
There were two lawyers driving this. Ken McKenna just seemed like a hustler. He saw there was something here that could open up a whole area of tort law that would be lucrative for him and everybody else. Tim was very Christian, and you just knew that from the get-go. He also didn't seem to have a lot of experience with this kind of law. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and my very first film was Dream Deceivers about James Vance versus Judas Priest. You know, when I wanted to really know what was going on, I would usually turn to Ken. But if I wanted some, like, color, I would turn to Tim.
I have no qualms at saying I treated this case like a crusade. Good versus evil. That's how I saw this case. Family values, Christian values versus death, evil, Satan. You know, things that heavy metal is proud of promoting. I just wanted them to stop.
The very first day I walked into Tim Post's office, the first thing he said to me was, "Are you a Satanist?" And I was like, "No, I'm not a Satanist. I'm just from New York." I spent time with James's mom and his dad and the family over the course of 9 months. I was just a couple of years older than James. He really wanted to talk. He wanted to tell me how much Judas Priest meant to him and what it meant to him. One of the things that James would say resonated in the music of Judas Priest was this idea that, like, we're living in hell on earth. There's no question that both James and Ray had a very tough situation at home. James's stepdad was a recovering alcoholic, maybe sometimes not so recovering. He spoke without any hesitation of abusing James. And I never met Ray's stepdad, but I saw him in court, and this is one scary son of a bitch. Ray and James, they saw not just their situation, but the whole world as a terrible, terrible place. Judas Priest's music was about making sense of the world. The existence of evil, the existence of suffering, and, you know, maybe we're gonna go to a better place afterwards. James's mom was evangelical, and the number one person she had to evangelize was her son. Phyllis would try to drag James to church with her. She would try to get him to renounce heavy metal.
It made me uneasy. His behavior would change.
It almost drove me crazy. I was saying, looking back at it now.
And we would constantly fight. He said, did you understand what he said? He said, looking back now, the music would almost drive you crazy.
Drive you crazy.
Both Phyllis and James were aware of this parallel between how she needed her religion, depended on her religion, and how James needed Judas Priest, depended on Judas Priest. They were both aware of it, and they used it to go at each other. There was always a tussle going on within James about who he was going to be loyal to Ray, to his mom, or to Judas Priest.
I would like to call certain people murderers. I feel that they murdered Ray.
Jay blaming Judas Priest, that wasn't his thoughts. That was his mom's. I knew Ray and Jay when I was growing up, 15, 16 years old. Ray was liked. by everybody that knew him. You were lucky if you were able to, like, hang out with him. Jay was a little more hot-headed. Like if you're walking down the street and accidentally got shoulder checked by somebody, he would, "What are you doing? You know, what are you doing this to me?" I only knew Ray and Jay as a team. Those guys were inseparable. They were just brothers. We would go steal alcohol from Safeway or something, go cruising around. It was great. There were probably times where somebody had a problem at home and we would help each other through it. To be that family that might be the one that you can't go home to. When I found out what had happened, it was bad. It was devastating. There used to be 6 of us, now there's only 4 of us. I was there at the gas station, filling my car, and Jay happened to have been there. I didn't know who it was, but I saw his eyes. I was like, holy shit, it's you. But I was still mad. What the fuck did you do that for? Why? I know I never called him again, you know? I should have.
Everyone knew who he was, but they didn't really want to talk to him. They didn't really want to look at him. With that lawsuit, I think that people were pissed off, you know, that this is absolute bullshit. That all weighed heavy on him.
If the music caused them to kill themselves, well, why didn't we?
It's like not the music that's gonna kill you, it's yourself.
We would want to be able to sing like Rob Halford and, you know, and oh man, I wish I had his voice. Or, oh my God, I wish I could play guitar like that. Not we got to kill ourselves because of the band. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's like a mockery. You made a mockery of their lives.
I don't know why he would blame Judas Priest. I mean, maybe if he thought in his mind these were his heroes and he thought that they were suggesting this was the way out and that instead it resulted in these horrible tragedies and stuff, that he would feel betrayed by them and have a motive for, you know, vilifying them. I certainly the other boy expressed that, you know, he had fucked up his life, and I think James felt the same way, but in a different sense, you know, kind of after the fact that he had really screwed up his life.
He'd call me and he'd say, "Tim, I'm really depressed." I'd say why, I knew. And he said, "This trial, this is killing me."
I'd heard that he had institutionalized himself and that he was not doing good. It was the anniversary of when him and Ray tried to take their lives.
I got a call 3 in the morning. "Tim, you got to get down to the hospital."
I got a call telling me that James had died.
He died of a drug overdose in the psych ward. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
We really lost the key witness, but I had my sword out for Ray, for James, and for everybody.
What was on trial here was heavy metal. We walked a block to get to the courthouse from the office, and every day it would be lined with kids cheering us on. They thought it was an attack on their culture. My illegal secretary, who was a high school kid at the time, was one of them.
Everybody wanted to see Judas Priest. All the metalheads, I mean, they had a lot of support from that community, I guess you would say. People hanging out all up and down the street, sitting on the steps of the courthouse.
The reason that we are here doesn't exist. There are absolutely no subliminal messages on this particular song or record or any of Judas Priest's records that we've made today.
All right, Second District Court of the State of Nevada is now in session. The Honorable Jerry Whitehead, District Judge, presiding.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated.
The opening statement was on me. There's a lot of stuff in the law that isn't about the law. It's not about the facts. It's about the presentation.
The evidence in this case will show that on December 23rd, 1985, Raymond Belknap took this shotgun, placed it under his chin, and pulled the trigger, ending his young life of 18 years.
You want to capture that momentum right off the top. How do you prove that hearing a subliminal caused somebody to commit suicide? Let's ask the one person who is most qualified to tell us, James Vance. James didn't live to come to trial, but we did have evidence from James.
James sent a letter to Anita Roberson, the mother of Raymond.
Is that the letter and photograph you received from James Vance?
Yes. It says, I believe that alcohol and heavy metal music, such as Judas Priest, led us or even mesmerized us into believing the answer to life was death.
Why do you think Raymond committed suicide that day?
I think he was affected by the music he was listening to.
James was adamant that the music mesmerized them to want to commit suicide. And who's a better witness than the guy who did it?
The members of Judas Priest were there because they wanted to defend themselves. But I could see the band stop and think, like, have we created something problematic here? Have we created something that is hurting people who, you know, believe in us?
Our audio expert, Bill Nickloff, brought in his audio system speakers. It's all set up on a table in front of the judge. He's going to demonstrate the do-its. This is a big moment. The judge has to hear him. He'd isolate a phrase of the song, and he'd slow it down. The do-its were clear. They're so clear when you isolate them. I'm looking at the judge, nothing. Poker face. He's not giving away anything.
Everybody was watching him to see how he was reacting, and he looked kind of perplexed.
If that's our idea of a subliminal message, well, God help us all.
I heard absolutely nothing.
I heard nothing but background lyrics being intensified.
I'm a little shook. I look over at the judge's secretary, and she goes, she heard the do-its. And I thought, I'm home free. She's gonna tell him.
I actually listened to the album to double check. I couldn't hear anything. Even now, I can't hear it. I've tried to. What does that tell you, you know?
I was not particularly happy about saying you can't hear it, because you can. If you suggest to somebody, listen to this word, and then you listen hard for the word, you can actually hear it. I could hear it. What we ascertained was it was like an exhalation combined with a guitar stroke that made it sound like the words do it. And so we have the mixer explain to the court how you mix the guitar and the drum or whatever to make the actual performance.
All of a sudden, light goes on. They're all focused on me now. You're the producer. You did this. I was like deer in headlights, like, oh shit. This could change, you know, freedom of speech, man. I'm looking at the band, and they're all like, wondering what I'm going to say next, because, Dennis, we could get prison time, you know, we could get, things can change here, depending on what you say. The attorney says, what is subliminal messages? What is backwards reverb? You can imagine trying to explain analog 24-track or 16-track, even for engineers to comprehend. It's like, I'm not bluffing it. I can't explain it. 40 minutes sitting there getting cross-examined by all these other attorneys. In the end, I just went, wow, Dennis, you're going to prison.
And then Rob took the stand, which was totally didn't help.
Of course, they planned it. Of course, he was prepared. Of course, it wasn't a surprise when his attorney said, would you sing us a bar? Oh, you want me to sing?
Better by you, better than me. You can say what I only can see.
Thank you. Is the exhalation of breath?
Yes.
Is that a normal part of your singing?
They were saying that it's that exhalation that made sounds that could be interpreted as subliminal messages. And that's what they wanted to get out.
Are there subliminal duets on the Better by You, Better Than Me song?
Absolutely not.
You can't prove the source of that phrase, do it, without the original soundtrack, the 24-track tape. If there was a voice do it on there, they'd be in one of those tapes. We rented the studio, very expensive. It was just the judge, the lawyers, and the studio people that were there. We spent an entire afternoon listening to each of the tapes. It would just be like the guitar playing, or the bass playing, or the drum playing. There is no message in there, do it. We were extremely pleased with the demonstration because we thought it absolutely proved it. When it did, scientifically it proves it. There's no subliminal message. At the end of the demonstration, I asked the judge, would you like me to do anything else? And he said, oh, yeah, I want you to play it backwards. And I thought, wow, that's disappointing.
Backwards masking came up in this case, and honestly, I was never a fan of it as part of our legal case. Backward masking is when you put a word in or a sentence in, and when you play the music backwards, it actually says something.
The second line, again sung forward, is Savior and burrowing in his, and a phrase that's unintelligible. Played backwards, you get the Lord, all of you.
Wilson Brian Key, he was a star witness for the plaintiffs. He promulgated all kinds of crazy theories about subliminal messages, one of which is that Nabisco would deliberately put words sex all throughout the cover of the Ritz crackers.
This is the guy that sees the word sex in Abraham Lincoln's beard. He sees sex in Ritz cracker boxes. He sees the Pope and the Virgin Mary performing an act on ice cubes.
The backwards messages that we found on the album all related to Satanism, anti-Christian beliefs. From my point of view, trying the case, I thought the satanic and the backwards stuff was a distraction. Backwards that say Satan is good and Christ is bad, how does that relate to committing suicide? But people were up in arms about the satanic element.
I knew the trial judge would be interested in secret subliminal messages or backmasking. Jerry Whitehead was a very devout Mormon. He had a tendency of the magical, of the supernatural. He believed that there were subliminal messages. I know he did. And I think he believed that all of that was deliberate because it was part of this culture that he didn't like. He was offended by what was represented by the band. He was probably the worst trial judge we could have had for this kind of case.
The band got this idea. They had taken the album, played backwards, so they could find other backward masked messages in the songs. Because their contention was, if you take anything and you play it backwards and you're listening for it, you're gonna hear something. The case was almost over. And then, oh, wait a minute, they're calling him back to the stand.
Forward, stand by for exciter, salvation is his task. The backward interpretation, which is, I asked for a peppermint, I asked for her to get one.
It was really a brilliant piece of theatrics by the band. You could see the judge realizing like, oh, yeah, that's right. If you play something backwards and you listen, you can find whatever the hell you want. I think that really was where the whole thing was over. I asked for a peppermint. Sorry. I've made films where I had to act like an investigative reporter, but I did not take that on here. From the very beginning, I felt like this isn't plausibly about these kids being mesmerized by subliminal messages or in any other way induced in a blameworthy way to commit suicide by Judas Priest music.
What happened here was two troubled, vulnerable boys committed suicide. Unfortunately, it happens all the time to young men like this, especially if they're vulnerable in the sense that they did exhibit some violent behaviors in the past. My partner, Sue Ellen Fullstone, cross-examined Phyllis Vance to establish that she was fully aware of the problems that her son had.
Your son was expelled from Reed for fighting, wasn't he, Mrs. Vance?
Yes, he was. They talked about taking automatic weapons, yes.
And killing numbers of people.
Yes.
You knew it was abnormal behavior, didn't you?
It was always after they had been listening to Judas Priest albums in the bedroom.
People who are suffering look for a solution, and they're not necessarily the best judges of what that solution is. Phyllis wanted to make sure that the band was held accountable because her son tried to kill himself, and she didn't want to blame her son, and she didn't want to blame herself. Over the course of 9 months with James, he didn't particularly want to keep driving home the message that it was the music that made them kill themselves. James told me that even though they had discussed the possibility of a suicide pact at some point, James was shocked that Ray had actually done this. James was really in a bad spot. Alone without his person, but also, if he didn't pick up the gun and shoot himself, he was going to feel incredibly guilty that he hadn't fulfilled this promise that they had made with each other. The germ of this case is James having to explain to himself and to everybody else, like, what the hell happened here? I think when James wrote the letter to Ray's mom, he never imagined in a million years that the end point of that was him going into court to accuse Judas Priest, whom he idolized, of causing Ray's suicide.
We've lost two good fans, and if they're fans, that means something to us too, you know.
It appeared that their only pleasure was listening to Judas Priest and heavy metal music.
Absolutely.
If there was something on the album, we'd be devastated, you know. I mean, like you say, we're human beings the same as everyone else.
We'd be ashamed. And we're here to face the world. We have nothing to be ashamed about.
A judge in Reno today ruled the heavy metal rock group Judas Priest is not responsible for the suicide of two teenaged fans.
No subliminal messages at all?
None at all. None whatsoever.
The judge went kind of sideways on us, and I think he knew better than the order that he gave. It was just we were scratching our heads.
This certainly isn't going to be the last case like this, and I would certainly file another one tomorrow morning. Sooner or later, a case like this will win. It's just a matter of time.
Civil rights didn't happen on the first try. So, yeah, I thought it was important to be part of it. You don't always have to win to win. That's another thing I've learned in the law.
Thank goodness they won. It's a terrible thing that might have happened. I mean, freedom of speech? Imagine rethinking your music. That alone is monumental.
I guess inevitably the little guys get swept under the rug in these kind of cases, you know. I think we should pay attention to the fact that there are two young men that lost their lives here. And I'm not sure that their choice in music necessarily would have changed the outcome of this.
What was on trial for a lot of people was not the subliminals. That didn't matter. It's heavy metal. They thought it was a satanic culture being fostered in our youth by these bad people. They need to be punished for that. And that's why I think it was a landmark case, because it vindicated the lifestyle that it's just entertainment.